Well, hi everyone. I thought I'd just start or just record a short movie on how I post to elearningworld.org just to help people out and just explain what I do. So on the end of the URL, I just usually type login, which actually isn't the correct URL. The WP-login is the correct one, but you can obviously bookmark that. Typing login works for me, but I'm not sure whether that's just because it's from the cache. And then I don't log in using WordPress. I just log in with a normal username and password, my normal username and password, and click login. And then you'll see the dashboard. You can pretty much ignore all of that. You set it up, it'll look different depending on who you are and what you've done. So basically click on the new and then post to make a new post on the site. And the first thing I do is add a post title, obviously making this short, succinct, and really using keywords in terms of what this post is about, trying to keep it very tight in terms of the description. And I'll then usually type a fairly short single line, single sentence or two, which is basically almost like a byline, and that appears quite nicely on the site and on mobile devices. And keeping it very short. And then I'll add this button here, click this button, which basically adds like a next page or a page break kind of effect. So that becomes the read more point, where the little button that says read more for this story. So you can obviously format text and bullet points and so on and so forth. Pretty straightforward little editor. So over on the right, this is the publish block, and I can save a draft at any time. So I might be interrupted, or I might just be getting my thoughts together on what this post should all be about. So I can save that and edit it later. We've also got the publish immediately option, but if I edit that, I can then set a date later in the month or next month or 2 months ahead, and at the time if I wanted to, and then click OK. When I click OK, the publish button will actually change to a schedule button, and that's how I know I've set the schedule up correctly. And I can then continue editing, and I can again save the draft. It's not going to go anywhere until that date. So I'm able to come in here and alter things and update things and so on, and it won't go until the date that I've specified. So that's pretty straightforward. Once I'm ready to publish it, I do click on schedule. But before I'll do that, I'll just check a few other things. First of all, the format. 99% of the time, you're going to just have a standard format. If you were publishing, for example, just a link with very little extra information, you could use the link format, but usually it'll be standard. And then you can select your categories. Now, we've set up a lot of categories here. I always click off the general one. That's just there to make sure there's something ticked in as a default value. But obviously with this post, I might want to come through and say, well, this is about Moodle. And if the subject was actually quite technical, I could select technical as well. And then I can choose which of those is actually the primary and kind of less important category. And I think that just is reflected in the order that those categories are shown underneath the post or just above the post, and they become an important part of the navigation system for people. We can add new categories as well. I'm not sure whether you see that button or not, but if you want other categories added that you think would be useful, then just let me know and we can add those in as defaults. We've then got tags. It's important to always tag your posts with at least one item. So for me here, this might be Moodle 3.4, which would be the most appropriate tag for this. But I could also, if it's about upgrading specifically, I could add another tag for upgrading there. Again, these really help with people being able to navigate around and click things, and you may also WordPress is using all these as connections internally. So yeah, use tags as much as you want. And then the featured image. Rather than setting an image up here within your content, A better way to do it in terms of search engines and the links we have to Facebook and Twitter and so on is to use this set featured image. So when I click on that, it takes me into the little file repository, the media files. I can select one of those, or I can go and obviously click on upload files. I can navigate to where I've got my image saved. You know, it could just be on the desktop. It might be something that you've got saved elsewhere. Pick your image that you want to use. And remembering that these should be, you know, in the sort of dimensions of 200, 300 or 400, 600 landscape format, that will always work much better. And then the only other little thing I need to do is to just set a title. And as you'll appreciate, again, all these things are used by search engines and metadata and so on. So important that we do that. And I just tend to copy the title into the alt text in the description. Don't bother putting anything in the subtitle. Is that subtitle or caption? Unless you want that to specifically appear below your image. Right? It's not needed otherwise. And then just click save, and it will add a little preview of that image there. You can obviously delete that and remove it if you wanted to, and add another one. But yeah, pretty straightforward. And then the other option over here is sending a push notification. At the moment we haven't, although that feature is active, we're not using it until we've tested out the mobile apps. The Google Play app is actually already there, and the iOS should be within the next week. But this ticking that will enable you to push the notification to mobile users, which is pretty cool. I'm happy with all that, so I can just click on the schedule. If I was publishing straight away, it would just be a publish button instead, of course, but I've set a date. And that will automatically also publish it to the main Facebook, Twitter, and whatever the other one is. I can't see it on the screen because I'm looking at a very small version. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. Further down the page, you'll see lots of other data about how we're linking this site to all the other sites, but again, you don't need to worry about that. You can totally ignore it. It's all set up by the system and should be nice and automatic. You don't need to do anything else. Just a couple of little things. You can switch to the text view, so just like Moodle's HTML code view, you can just switch around there. That's if you wanted to input some HTML or look at your HTML, maybe if you've copied and pasted from elsewhere. And then just before we look at all posts, just worth mentioning that you have got a little preview function. Okay. So you can preview the post before you decide on to hit that final schedule or final publish button, and you'll see a little version of exactly what it's going to look like. So that's cool. And then back on all posts. I'm seeing quite a lot of information here in terms of the posts on the site and who's made them and where they're up to. I usually click on mine. Obviously, if I'm editing Stuart's, I'll click on mine. I'm not sure which of these you will see, but if you click on mine, then you will see your own posts. And from there, you can very quickly edit it, preview it, bin it if you don't want that anymore. Quick edit just lets you edit the title, and edit will actually take you back into that post so you can re-edit the content. Do note that you can edit your posts at any time. And if you came back here and you changed the image, you know, so let's say it's been posted for a week, you change the image or you change some of the text here, it will change on the elearningworld.org site, and it will change the content in the mobile app as well, but it will not update anything that's already been pushed through to Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. That's a one-time push to all those different systems. So any edits you make later here won't be reflected in those other systems, only on the elearning.world.org site and the mobile app. So that's it. I hope that's been helpful and explained the basics of how to do this. Cool. Thanks.